Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, students. How are you today? Yeah, I hope everyone is doing well. Okay, welcome back to our class. In this video, I'm going to explain to you all about eco-criticism in literature. If in our previous meeting, we have already learned a lot about post-colonialism and then feminism, new criticism, and also queer criticism. So today, we are going to discuss together about eco-criticism in literature, which is in this 13th meeting. Okay, so we are going to have like 2 meetings more before our final test. Well, let me start by asking a questions. Do you have any idea about eco-criticism, or what is eco-criticism? How do we apply eco-criticism in literature? All right. Well, so eco-criticism is the study of the relationship between literature or other cultural products and the physical environment. So eco-criticism, everyone, is a literary approach that analyzes the relationship between literature and the environment. So eco-criticism, explores how literary texts represent nature and how they critique human actions that cause ecological damage. All right, so let me highlight again. So eco-criticism explores how literary texts represent nature and how they critique human actions that cause ecological damage. Well, why should we, learn about eco-criticism and how does it relate it to literature? Okay, before I explain further about this and how do we apply eco-criticism, let me explain to you first how does eco-criticism is integrated to Islamic values. Okay, so we are going to also try to connect between eco-criticism with with Islamic values, like what is Quran say about eco-criticism, and also religious moderation. Well, as you may know that in Islam, it emphasizes the relationship between nature and human. As it is stated in Surah Ar-Rum, verse 41, the corruption has spread on land and sea as a result of what people's hands have done, so that Allah may cause them to taste the consequences of some of their deeds, and perhaps they might return to the right path. Okay, and in another surah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 205, eco-criticism is strongly related to Islamic science and values, as it is stated in the Quran. And then it also related to religious moderation. So how is the connection between eco-criticism in literature and religious moderation? Both eco-criticism and religious moderation, it maintains harmony between human, nature, and God. So eco-criticism and religious moderations can strengthen each other in educating human character with literary based. So both of eco-criticism and religious moderation, they reject the exploitations and the violence toward nature and human, of course, and also it encourages the ecological awareness. So as English literature students who study in Islamic University, all of you guys should be able to integrate, or trying to find the integration between eco-criticism, or our subject, with religious moderation and also the Islamic values and science. Okay, so let's move on to the key concept. There are 3 important key concepts of eco-criticism. The first one is nature and industrialization. So what should you do? What can you do when you guys want to critics or when you want to analyze deeper about portrayal of nature in literature? So the first one, you can see the connection between nature versus industrializations or environmental exploitation. So, okay. The second one is the environmental destruction and anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism is human domination. All right. And the third key concept is indigenous knowledge and harmony. So what does it mean? Ecocriticism, you should see how this literature try to raise awareness of ecological balance and also interdependence. Well, now let's move on to the example of ecocriticism in literature. All right, I'm sure everyone has watched Avatar film. Have you? Absolutely. Yeah, I do believe you guys have already watched the Avatar 1 and the Avatar 2. Okay. How can we criticize Avatar movie from eco-criticism perspective? Well, but before that, let me show you again the short scene related to Avatar. Film from the perspective of eco-criticism. So the things you can criticize about nature and industrializations in Avatar film, the first one, you can analyze how human represent industrial capitalism and environmental exploitation. As you can see in this picture, the RDA Corporation in this film, destroys forests to mine the unobtainium. So that's their mission, to actually destroy the forest, where the forest itself is actually the home for the Navy. And the third point you can analyze from the connection between nature and industrializations in this film is Pandora's ecosystem. Okay, of course you know, about Pandora's ecosystem. And then let's move on to the second point, or you can criticize from Avatar film. So it's environmental destructions and anthropocentrism. As I have explained earlier, you should view critically on the human dominations toward environmental destruction. Okay, you should really focus on how this literature try to voice the human dominations. And the last point you can criticize, it's about indigenous knowledge and harmony, or deep ecology. You can analyze how people in this film live in a harmony, live peacefully with the environment, with the nature, with the animal, with the living things around it. Okay.
I thought we were ready.
Let me show you the scene where the Na'vi live very harmony. As you can see in this video, the Na'vi live in a harmony with nature. One is Ewa, okay, their spiritual deity. It reflects ecological interconnectedness. And also, if you guys still remember, both in Avatar 1 and in Avatar 2, the Tree of Souls symbolizes both spiritual and ecological balance. And then try to contrast with human greed versus Navi's spiritual respect for nature. Well, everyone, we've come to the conclusion. So what can we conclude about eco-criticism itself? Okay, the first one is it examines the relationship between literature and natural environment, focusing on the representations of nature in texts and responses to ecological crisis. Second one, okay, eco-criticism emerged as a response to growing global awareness of environmental degradations, positioning literature as a media for reflections and also critique of nature exploitations. The third one, by integrating literary studies, ethics, and ecology, eco-criticism encourages readers to think critically about how humans perceive and treat the natural world. The next, through this theory, literature or literary works are viewed not only as cultural products, but also as agents of change. And the last conclusion about eco-criticism, its environmental consciousness in literature is not merely aesthetics, okay, but also a form of moral responsibility to preserve the earth. Well, if you have any inquiries or you have questions or there are some points you want to clarify, we can discuss it in our meeting in the class. Well, so what you are going to do for this week, you are going to do a project. You should choose one literary works, okay? You can choose film or short story or novels or poetry, and then do a mini performance, okay, mini theater or mini drama performance to criticize. And the third, you need to put your critics in your performance, in your acting, okay? So you can insert your critique on this literature based on the point that you want to criticize, okay? Okay, students, that's all for today. So inshallah, I'll see you again in our class, okay? In our class with your performance, of course. Okay, thank you for your attentions. Alhamdulillah, let me close by saying Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now.